They learn very early on how to wash dishes. Um, I'm serious. You can applaud for that. Yes, yes. Because for the hospitality home to work, there are, like, we have pets. We have to vacuum every day. Unless you want to think of dog hair as a spice, we need to vacuum every day. And you don't want to think of dog hair as a spice. I don't either. So my children, they know how to clean the bathrooms every day. They know how to vacuum the house every day. They know how to do the dishes. They know how to load the dishwasher. They know when to interrupt and when not to interrupt. They have sat at a table and heard adults pour out their heartfelt concerns, and they have learned to pray for people. They have learned to pray for Mr. Hank. They have, sometimes people have asked me, when did my children know that I used to be a lesbian and an atheist? And they've cut their teeth on it. They heard those words before they knew what they meant. It wasn't like one day we had to say, "Oh, we've got a story to tell you," So I, and here's why. We don't know the callings and the hardships that our children will face. But I can guarantee you this, as parents, we wouldn't choose any of them for them. We wouldn't choose it. We go soft on our kids. We love them that much. We're afraid. Two of our children we adopted out of foster care at the age of 17. So I tell people that I've adopted people who stand a foot taller than I do. And it's true. But my younger children have always been in the presence of children who have older kids who have had very hard lives. And they have prayed for their older siblings. They love their older siblings. And you've never heard, you didn't see me on the Dr. Phil show ever, right? It worked out. It genuinely worked out. And all kinds of blended family issues are very complex, right? But we're moving into a world where more families are blended, and with that there's more complexity. And what I want my children to know from the earliest age, and what I want to be reminded of, is that the gospel is always good news no matter where you are. Okay, so they've never lived in a house where people have said, well, you should know better. Because really half of the people in the house have never heard the gospel at all anyway. But if the gospel is only about knowing better, then we don't need a savior who died on a cross. We need like a 12-step program or something. So I think that our children are more savvy about these things than we think. Sometimes in the past, when I would speak on sexuality, often, and you're thinking she's not speaking on sexuality, it's kind of funny, but anyway, maybe not, but you know what I mean. In the past, when that was exclusively what I was talking about, I would have 9-year-olds sometimes come up to the microphone and ask a question that understood gender theory in a more sophisticated way than their parents did. And I want you to know that, because I want you to know that you can't protect your children from the post-Christian world we live in. And so the earliest that they can be, that they can understand things. Now, I think it's appropriate to talk to children in an appropriate way. And so as Christians, we want to use modesty, not just in our dress, but in our speech. So when we talk about matters of sexuality and gender and all of this, we want to be mindful of the conscience of a young person, and that's a good thing. And you know what? We want to be mindful in a church community too. We should not talk like the world, people. And we should not act as though talking like the world means we're being more honest. It really doesn't. So I would say that we have just involved them early on. One of the things that people work in their Christian lives, you do the things that God has called you to do. And so at this point, I do some one-on-one discipling, but for me, discipling is always in the context of the church and under the authority of the elders. So, and we're a small church. And I'm not saying that's not a blanket law. That's just the way the Butterfields have worked this out, because we have found that it can be very difficult to be discipling someone and have the session under, like, so not, maybe you are undermining the session, but you don't know it. That can happen. So at this point, I don't do a lot of one-on-one counseling. And when I do things like that, I always, Kent and I tend to do those kinds of things together. And so the children obviously are not involved in that, but that's not most of what I do. But I would say that our children need to be equipped to face this world and to know that you can face facts with faith, and doing so doesn't erase either the facts or your faith. And I don't think that sheltering your children actually protects them.